Great day, everyone, and welcome to 3CP TV. My name is Yathis Johnson, and I am the founder and president of Third Culture People. 3CP TV is a media resource helping individuals become third culture people, where you learn to embrace the greater variety of cultural identities and skillfully bridge the gap between our differences. When you watch 3CP TV, listen, you learn how to connect with anyone at any time from anywhere in the world. So today we have Dr. Reginald Screen with us. He's a colleague from Georgia, and he's a beautiful soul, great brother, very intelligent man who has tremendous influence in his leadership. He has an associate's degree in accounting from Gwinnett Technical College. He has a BS in biblical studies from Trinity Seminary in Indiana. He has a master's in organizational leadership from Regent University in Virginia. And then he has a PhD in apologetics and theology from Trinity, Indiana. So his brother is well stacked. He has done his homework. He has been diligent to learn, to grow, and to lead. So, Reggie, would you give a very brief welcome to our audience?
Thank you, Yathis. I've always appreciated you and the things you do. And so kudos to you. I want to welcome the audience. We're glad you're here, and we hope that we can dive into this important topic together. I
Yes.
hail in the Atlanta metro area in the beautiful state of Georgia. And
Yep.
it's just a good place to be right now.
Well, Reggie, listen, man, I'm excited, brother, to have you with us. Have we've been at conferences together, and we've had some opportunities to talk and chat, and we're getting to know each other even better. That we're both walking in this same space, doing some of the same things, and really looking to partner together. So again, thank you for being a part of 3CP TV and just being a blessing to our audience today. Well, listen,
Well,
folk, becoming a third culture person will not only grow you personally, but it will grow you professionally, allowing you to expand beyond your imagination and your limitations. Here's what we say at 3CP, we change the way you view DE&I everywhere. So, Reggie, thank you again for being here. Man, I want you to just give a more formal, more extended introduction of yourself because only you can tell your story better than anyone else. So, go ahead, brother.
yeah. Again, I'm from a little town in Southwest Georgia, right on the Georgia-Florida line, called Bainbridge, Georgia. I actually grew up it's about 25 miles from Tallahassee, Florida.
Mm,
And from there, I left there and went to the Air Force and served my tour there in the Air Force. Got out of the Air Force and came back to the Atlanta metro area. And I've been here for 30 plus years.
wow.
I raised my family here. I was four beautiful daughters, ranging from 15 to 30. I
Hmm.
also went into ministry as a licensed and ordained Baptist pastor first, and then over to the Christian and Missionary Alliance about 25 years ago. I serve right now as an assistant district superintendent in charge of starting churches over a 7 state area, and also doing a bunch of coaching and training.
Wow.
So I've been in development, the development side and the entrepreneurial side of which is the church planting side for
Hmm.
about 30 years now.
Wow. Wow. Man, that's powerful. So, Reggie, tell us, how have you been called to use your gifts, your talents, and your skills, particularly in this CQ, cultural
Mhm.
intelligence area, to solve a problem or heal a pain?
Sure. So basically, the Lord has wired us. If you believe in the Lord, I certainly do, and I know you do, Yates. But
Yep.
the Lord has wired us in a certain way that we can contribute to society, right?
Hmm.
The Dead Sea takes something in and lets nothing out. We're not like the Dead Sea. We're a river that's meant to flow. And as I've looked at my life and I've gotten counseling with people, I only do three things. I've only done three things my whole life. One is I teach people who they are, their identity. And
Mm-hmm.
that's very important because you
Oh,
don't know
yeah.
who you are. You'll try to live out of somebody else's identity and you will feel that you're phony and life is sham and pretense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Secondly, which is the thing I've been most aware of all my life, is to help people, help the cultures come together. As a little boy,
Mm.
I never understood why we went to the black church and then white people right at this church went to the white church. I couldn't figure all of it out. But as a little boy, 4 or 5 years old, it certainly captured my imagination. It
Mm.
captured my imagination in high school. It captured my imagination in the Air Force. And as I've gotten out and grown up to be a man, it still captures my imagination. It's like someone has toyed with us. They've tinkered with our script, as it were. And
Wow.
so the second thing, if you're hanging this on a triangle, the top is identity, and the bottom right it would be reconciliation or unconscious bias or
Mm.
cultural intelligence. Those words are sometimes used interchangeably. And then on the bottom left side, it will be it's leadership development,
Wow.
teaching
Wow.
people to get the most out of who they are, helping them to understand so they can contribute in a massive way to society.
Mm, mm. Wow, I love that. It all begins. You and I are so much in agreement here, and
You
we
know,
think alike. Identity. It begins with identity. Everything rises and falls on our identity, and when we
yes,
know that, it gives us the proper mindset to
yeah,
move forward and do the things that we believe God's called us to do. So amazing, man. Really appreciate that. Hey,
yes.
listen. What advice would you have for companies, organizations, churches wanting to really improve their DE&I standards and practices?
Yeah, the one word I'll posit for you or put forth to you would be balance.
Mm,
Um, and so you need a good assessment that's honest, gut level honesty, with the right people contributing to the assessment.
hmm hmm
And you want to assess in two areas: structurally speaking,
hmm
and then culturally speaking.
mm,
Most days, people want to assess the structures, HR, hiring practices, the policies and the procedures, and the whole nine yards. But
hmm
people run those structures, right?
Yes.
And so you could change the language, you change the policies, and the whole nine yards, and you can get at it a little bit, but it will still be artificial.
Yeah.
And so we need to do the structural work, right? We need to have fair hiring practices in the whole nine yards. However, the second part is culture,
hmm
right? People live out of their culture. And so culturally speaking, what do people value? How are people wired? uh, you're down on in a euphemistically speaking way. We say you're down on what you're not up on. In other words, you're afraid of what you do not know.
Mm, wow.
And
Wow.
so, and a lot of us don't even know ourselves. So we don't know our culture. We don't know you know, whether I'm collectivistic or whether I'm individualistically speaking in terms of value.
hmm
Um, am I high power distance? Am I low power
Yeah.
distance? Am I monochronic? In other words, polychronic. I mean, this is time. Does the party start when I get there, or is it tick tock? We got to be right on time. We don't
hmm
really
hmm
understand that, and so culturally speaking, we don't understand ourselves and others, and so that just kind of throws off the structural side, puts a
Yeah.
lot of pressure on it. So if we could train people structurally,
hmm
right, uh, and the different people groupings and how what they value. I mean, in churches, a lot of people, I don't see a lot of people leaving a church because the preacher mishandled Ephesians.
Right.
Right. But I have seen a ton of people leave because somebody's value got stepped on.
Mm, wow.
So that would be
Wow.
that would be my advice for the faith community and also the marketplace.
Can you give an example of that? Somebody's value got stepped on. Like, what does that look like?
Yeah. Let's just take time.
Okay.
You know, if I'm a polychronic guy and service starts at 10 o'clock,
Mm-hmm.
but not really for me for polychronic because it's really about the people. You see,
Right.
that's my value,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm starting 10:15, 10:20, 10:30 sometimes. I've been in
Mm-hmm.
churches like that. The
Right.
families in there that are monochronic,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, they'll get frustrated after a while because they'll say, "You're not honoring me." I've
Right.
had people leave the board at times because I've had administrative assistant that was working on scheduling everybody's time, and she said, "Okay, 4 out of 5 can do it on Fridays. We're going to do it on Friday." And the guy was good, solid. He believed in what we believed in, but he said, "You're not valuing my time. All right, if you
Mm.
don't start on time." So that's one. Collectivistic versus individualistic.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, we just had the George Floyd deal
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
happened, right? And
Right.
justice was served.
Mm-hmm.
However, 50% of the group says not necessarily so.
Mm.
Uh, this particular group looks at things from an individualistic perspective,
Okay.
right? That's one thing that's happened, right? There's another thing that happened in terms of policing. There's
Mm-hmm.
another thing that happens. There's another thing. They never string them together.
Mm.
They will say there's nothing
An
systemic about it.
isolated incident.
Isolated. They're individualistic in their approach
Okay.
to
Gotcha.
life, right?
Okay. Yes.
My culture is collectivistic,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
This happened, this happened, this happened. That's enough sampling to say it's a systemic problem,
Mm.
right? And both can be right and both
Mm-hmm.
can be wrong taken to an extreme. But
Right.
it's a perspective we look at.
Sure. Sure.
It's a perspective. So in the
Mhm.
black community, we tend to look at things. Most brown people are collectivistic.
Yeah. Yeah.
By the way, there are a few
Yeah.
outliers,
Yeah.
and most brown
Yeah.
people are polychronic. There are a few
Mm-hmm.
outliers. So that's when I'm saying the value piece. We learned in the cultural intelligence group that there are 10
Mm-hmm.
value subsets there
Yeah.
out of the 10 different people groups. That's helped me tremendously. And as I've gone around to different churches that don't look like me and
Mm-hmm.
give them the values piece, they go, "Oh,"
Mm-hmm.
they've had to pause to think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me ask you, Reggie, as an African American male,
Hmm.
having lived these last 14 months in our country with the racial tensions being heightened, how have you processed that? How have you been living out a life that is, represents justice and just being on point with your own mental, emotional health and so forth?
Yeah, it's been tough. Um, I do believe
Hmm.
uh, the African American BIPOC people need. Um, we need to really take mental health seriously. Now, we've seen
Hmm.
something that happened over the last year with the pandemic, how the Asian community has been targeted by many, and how what is done to the Asian community after 1 year of
Hmm.
this.
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
have 400 years of it. That's we
Hmm.
never
Hmm.
had a chance to even speak our story or tell our truth because what happens, it gets pressed down. Well, that's created what I think Joy DeGrasse says, post-traumatic slave syndrome. It's,
Hmm.
it's 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 analogous to um, 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 some of the reaction when you go through trauma. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
yeah. And so for me, I've had to be very conscious about what's going on. I had an incident that happened to me. My daughter's toilet overflowed, so anything that they call it gray water, gray matter, or gray water or black water touches, you have to really gut the whole house. About
Mm,
$70,000 worth. Well, we stayed in a hotel for
wow,
90 days,
Oh my.
And the day 89, I got pulled out of my room, and by the police. It was they tried to say I was parked illegally, which I had all the credentials needed to park where I was parking, but they tricked me out of my room and they said I was a part of a stolen car ring.
Oh wow.
They were looking for a black guy who came in the room after 11 o'clock. I'd gone and seen that Avengers movie, the last one, that was like
Mm-hmm.
2 hours. And I
Mm-hmm.
got back about 11:15, and they said it was me.
Mm.
They said they had me on off camera surveillance, and the whole thing. It was all a lie. But I'm in the back of the hotel at 2:30 in the morning, and I got four cops surrounding me in an aggressive posture,
Wow.
and the smaller one is going after me, and my body starts to do all the things that I've never experienced before. My feet were burning, my heart started to palpitate, I started to sweat profusely, because it was
Mm.
for me at that time. The
Wow.
video started to play of the guy,
Mm.
of the different people who have been killed, and it was
Yeah.
just I'm in the dark. Um,
Mm.
and my thought was, you got to live to fight another day,
Wow.
right? You got to stay in the moment. You got to be prayerful. You look at him and you trust the Lord in it, but you live to fight another day. Because
Mm.
my body, well, I was saying either fight or flight.
Mm. Wow.
So I would say, if we're having incidents with the cops, let's not be our own judge and jury right there in the street. Let's try to get it off the street into the courtroom as necessary. But the deal is, go home to your spouse, go home to your children, go home to your wife or husband. And to do that, you just have to be as amenable as possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some people don't want to hear that, but that's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's how I process it. And the
Sure.
other thing I do is, I'm going to be a voice to help people live into a better tomorrow.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah, and so that means I have
Good.
to study, I have to show myself approved, right? I have to get the right networks or whatever. But so that's two different things that's constantly in my mind.
Mm. Wow. Wow. That's good. That's good. Um, yeah, just one thing I want to say about the Asian community when you mention them is that, before this pandemic, I have several Asian colleagues and friends around the country, and man, they've been going through it. Not maybe it looks totally different than the African American experience, but they've been going through a lot of this racism and the isms that divide for decades. And so,
Yeah, and so I don't want to misspeak on that.
mm,
That there's not been any
mhm,
um, negative stuff towards them in the community. I'm talking about the degree to which
right,
you're
yeah,
that you're seeing it now,
yeah,
and
yes,
and
okay,
that it's
gotcha, yep.
explained away.
Right. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Right, it's explained away. And let me say this, brother Yates, is um, so I clipped the story after they went back and looked at the video.
Hmm.
The cops came back. One of the cops came back out, whispered in the other guy's ear, and the guy said, "You're free to go." About 3:30 in the morning. So uh,
Wow.
I got off. I got the police report, and my name wasn't even on the report.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. So that could have just turned for the worse if your body responds in a way you've never been in that position before.
hmm
Your body begins to respond in a certain way that appears to be threatening. Now you're not meaning to be threatening, but you're a big guy.
hmm
And you got a small guy, a police officer,
yeah,
who is probably fearful,
yes.
right? And it to be over aggressive in this. So what advice would you give to other African American men out there, especially those who are working in majority culture space? They're minority. I mean, you've
hmm
probably been in this position. I know I have in corporate America and even in ministry context where
hmm
I'm one of only, you know,
hmm
I'm one of 20, and
hmm
so, what advice would you give to other African American men in particular about having to navigate that space?
Yeah, and I've been in this space as the only, excuse the euphemism, the only piece of pepper at the table for a long time.
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And so here's one thing that you got to know: you got to be comfortable in your own skin.
That's right. Goes back to that identity, right?
I'm telling you, you got to know that you know that you know that you know that you know. Man, if I had to come back again, I want to come back with this brown skin. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I
Yeah.
love being me, right?
Yeah. That's right.
I love the opportunities and I love the challenges
Yeah.
because I know that the Lord has placed me in those places for such a time as this.
Mm.
So don't try to be anybody else.
Mm.
Uh, I just know I belong, right?
Yeah.
I just know God and I, with Him being 99.9999%, are the majority in any room,
Mm. Wow.
right? And so that's how I try to roll with it. It's like, yes, when it's time for me to be elevated, so the scripture said promotion comes from the Lord,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, yeah. If I'm in
Wow.
the room to help them live a better tomorrow, I always say that. I remember telling a brother once. I said, I believe God made me a missionary to white people. First of all, his head
Yeah.
almost exploded, right? Because
Right. Right.
he's this MK and big time guy, and he said, Reggie, I disagree with that. He said, "You're trying to tell me that God called you to go and minister to the poor white people in the hills of Kentucky and Tennessee?" I said, "I didn't say that." I said, "That's what you assume." I said, "No, the Lord called me to be a missionary to you. You need it too. We all
Wow.
need it.
Yeah.
There's no superiority here, right? We're all equal." So
Yeah.
that's kind of my
Wow.
mindset.
Well, listen, Reggie, man, thanks. Thank you so much, man, for your time,
Yeah,
brother, for I know you're a busy guy. You're traveling all around, in your region in particular. And you just making time today is precious, brother. And I so appreciate you, man.
well, I
Thank you.
appreciate you too, and just know that from my vantage point, your success is my success too.
Yeah, that's right. We're in this together,
Yeah,
brother.
we're in this together.
So listen, Reggie, how can people get in touch with you? What social media platforms are you on? Website? If you could just give that, I mean, we'll
Yeah.
post it as well, but we want to hear it from you.
Okay. So I'm going to give you my cell number first because I'm tethered to that all the time, which is 678 three
Wow, hold on.
one.
You giving out your cell number, brother?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, all right. You the real deal, man.
678 316 0534.
Okay.
678-316-0534. And my website is www.3lculture, culture.com. And you can also find me on LinkedIn and just look up Reginald, that's with the D, Reginald, S as in Sam, screen, like a computer screen.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Well, folks, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for tuning into 3CP TV, where you learn how to connect with anyone at any time from anywhere in the world. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel, 3CP TV, to view our latest episodes. Also, subscribe to LinkedIn. Connect with us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Hey, that's where you'll learn more about CQ, DE&I. We have content flowing all the time. We want to help you grow as an individual, personally, as well as professionally. God bless you and God bless America. Thank you, Reggie, again, for being with us, brother.